He wants them for...
You want them for pictures?
Yeah. So everyone, as I've introduced myself already, I'm Adam Coster. I just have a brief presentation that I'm going to give for you all today. And it won't be too long because afterwards we need cake and all that kind of stuff. So, I just want to talk about Jenny and myself. First of all, how it all began. Where I think it should go. Proof that this is a good idea, followed by a modest proposal. So, first, how it all began. A long time ago, we've been together 4.5 years. At University of Chicago, we lived in the same house. It wasn't this house. It was about as hideous, but it was a different place. This is where we ate our meals. So early on in our first year, Jenny and a friend decided that they had Pierce crushes, which were people in this dining hall at Pierce, who they just decided from afar was their crush. And Jenny probably randomly out of the group. So, from there is where everything began. But it didn't really start until this. So, of course, we shared a laundry facility in our dorm. So there I was reading some random book for one of my courses, and doing my laundry, because it was just a nice table set down. And, of course, with my dryer sheets on the table. And Jenny came down, and at this point still had not talked to me yet because she was a little nervous. And she saw me reading and wanted to sit down and also do work while she was doing laundry. So, so she moved my dryer sheets to the side, which I didn't even notice or care, but she freaked out and thought this was a horrible thing because she thought that I would be somehow offended by this, or that something bad would come of this since we hadn't actually even talked yet. Turned out that everything went okay, and we ended up moving in together. It wasn't quite that fast. That's the idea. It turned out absolutely fine. So we moved in together. We've been together for a year at this point. I had a little place by University of Chicago. Hard to see in this light, but a nice little condo. So we were together there for another 1.5 years. And then I, being sort of a crazy person, decided I should join the Peace Corps. So I ran off to Africa. It was supposed to be for 2 years, 3 months. But while I was there, it really sucked and I decided to leave. But, and I never really, I underplayed this the entire time, but a lot of my decision to come back was because I knew that if I was there for 2 entire years with that kind of separation, it would be too difficult for Jenny and I to maintain a relationship. So, I came back and showed up on her doorstep back in Chicago without her knowing that I was coming. Which is why I had to do this way, because I had to somehow trump that. So, it was a nice long trip, and we've been now apart again for this past year because I'm working in St. Louis and she's down here at med school. But I just signed my paper today saying that I'm moving here next year to start graduate school to get my PhD in the fall. So now we're finally going to be in the same place. And, so now I want to go to where I think it should go. I think it's probably pretty obvious at this point. But, just because I'm a nerd, I wanted to write it in this way. If anybody's familiar with C++. So, this here is a Boolean value, right? While I'm alive, that is true. While that is true, this thing loops forever, right? So until I die, that's true. But in more easily readable terms, Jenny, I want to be with you forever. But I first have to prove that that's a good idea, because I'm a scientist. And I'm going to do this in 3 images, and then that's it. First of all, if we look at a Venn diagram of our various interests, likes, wants, needs, etc., all the things that make up who we are, and we have these sets A and J. The intersection of that set is gigantic, right? We really like all the same things. The few things that we don't are really not that important. They generally complement each other. Like I can't pick out clothes properly. And this one's going to not be quite as clear at first, but this is a geographic timeline of how far apart Jenny was from me. From the time of my birth, right there. Of course, she was infinitely far away at that point because she had not been born yet. To the point where she was born in China, so she was a long ways away. Moved to the United States, here, whenever this is, when she was 4. I don't actually know the exact dates, but you know. And then visited China regularly until over here, where she came to visit University of Chicago. And then the following year, or following, I guess, fall, when she attended there, as did I. And from there on, you can see we're looking at a, you know, this is a log scale, so that makes that. So then we were very close together for a long time, with, you know, little spikes for spring break or whatever, when we would be separated back to our families. And then, of course, number 8 is when I went to Africa, and 9 I came back, and then we end up with 0, where I am right now. And then this is my last image. So, lambda is sort of a joke that me and Jenny have, but this we sort of symbolize love. But I decided to quantify it a little bit better and call it inverse emotional distance. Because I feel like that's a little bit easier to quantify than, you know, something like the idea of love and love. But the point is that starting when we first met, this thing was increasing and then accelerating, right? In a sort of scribbly pattern, but always going up. And now if we were to, the point is that if we were to overlay this on top of our geographic distance timeline, you can see that as we were closer together, this makes perfect sense, but even as we were far apart, it continued to increase. So, although this is hardly a lot of evidence, I think it's enough. And that brings me to the last part. Jenny, could you come over here and open this box for me? I just want to look it straight up very carefully. Can I look inside? Jenny?
God.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, and I want to thank everybody for helping out, this especially Dr. Boncaccio.
That's awesome.
For helping me out, and of course I have to have my obligatory thank you slide. So these people helped out tremendously in getting this happen. By the way, the cake is by Lauren's Fancy Cakes or something. It's a pretty awesome cake.
Congratulations, Jenny.
And now there's going to be cake and champagne.
That is awesome.